Flawless victory.
Hello lovelies. First things first, there's going to be a lot of new people around, apparently, because of that video I did about the attack on Jeremy at Gen Con. So just be aware that I encourage disagreement. If you don't agree with what I say, feel free to drop a comment. And stick around. I do a host of different kinds of content, so if you want to see the kind of things that I do, or if you're only interested in one particular topic, check out my landing page on YouTube and go to my playlists. I stream all my different kinds of content into different playlists, so you can find all kinds of stuff there. And if you're here for an update on the rest of it and you're just watching the video, slam that subscribe button and make sure you also click the little bell, otherwise you won't get alerts when I do stuff. I guess an update is in order on Jeremy's situation, as I kind of made that video in haste last night. He's okay. The person who attacked him has been identified, reports have been made to the police and to the Gen Con staff. Whether anything will actually be done remains to be seen. So we shall see. He's okay, he's safe. He may not be going out of an evening quite so much, but he's still at the con, so, you know, go up and say hi and whatever else, and maybe keep a bit of an eye on him, just in case. How they're going to spin this, I don't know, and I would hope that this attack gets condemned by people. We'll have to wait and see if that's the case, though, I suppose. You would think a physical attack would get the same kind of coverage, or more coverage, from the usual suspects than a few mean words might. Now, I've seen comments excusing what happened, saying, oh, he's asking for it by saying mean words on the internet, or yeah, it's to be expected if you go around insulting people and so on. And this out of the mouths of the same kinds of people who quite rightly say, oh, a short skirt doesn't mean she's asking for it, or flirting doesn't mean it. It's amazing how quickly people will forget that they're against victim blaming, isn't it? Look, just don't accept that something genuinely bad has happened. This isn't just mean words. This is someone getting punched because you've dehumanized them as a Nazi and whatever the fuck else. Or some people are saying, oh, he's attacking wizards, he's attacking the game and so on. True, he may have set his sights on wizards and magic because they treated him so poorly, but consumer advocates calling out wizards for using bad card stock and pointing out that they are not vetting people properly when it comes to hosted games and so on in their stores. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that he's, whether he means to or not, providing a good service in so doing, and he's hardly the only person to do so. Now, regarding the attacker, they're being doxed all over the place. They were doxed in my comments, I had to delete it. His family, his friends, his place of work, all the rest do not deserve to catch any flack for what he has done. Right? Jeremy has done the right thing that a lot of people don't do, and he has gone to the police, and he's gone to the security people, he's gone to the convention staff and so on, and he's reported it. A lot of people don't do that. They just say, oh, this horrible thing happened to me somewhere, and expect it to magically get sorted out. Jeremy's done the right thing. Leave it to the right processes. Leave it to Jeremy. Don't get involved. Don't confront people. Just condemn this and use it as a jumping off point to try and make things better. That was what my appeal was yesterday, to try and make things better for everybody, not worse. This isn't an excuse to label everyone on the other side, whatever it is you want to label them, I don't know, anti-Fa, beta male communists, or whatever else. This is an example of things having gone too far, and it's an opportunity to pull things back, not to make things worse. Like I needed another reason to be angry and pissed off today, the Honey Badger Brigade have apparently lost their lawsuit. Now, for those who aren't aware, the honey badgers are a group of predominantly female men's rights activists based out of Canada. Now, I don't consider myself to be a men's rights activist. I consider myself to be an egalitarian with a vested interest in men's issues, particularly mental health, and I value them for their advocacy, and they're a nice bunch of people. Basically, there's a lot we don't agree on, but there's enough that we do, and I think they're decent folks. Anyway, Alison Tiemann, who is part of the group, she is also a comics artist. So they attended, I think it was Calgary Comics Expo. This was during the height of Gamergate, really, and they participated in a panel from the audience. The audio's available online, and they also had some material that included some references to Gamergate in their stall that they had set up. So this was a considerable outlay, and there was a considerable outlay of time and so forth involved as well. And then they were abruptly thrown out with no reason that really stands to scrutiny given as to why they were thrown out. It seems to have just been the Gamergate material and supposedly being disruptive, though if you listen to the engagement with the panel, it wasn't disruptive at all. It was polite. They asked, it wasn't intimidating or anything at all. For a long time it seemed like they were going to win this suit because the opposite side tried to settle at one point and then changed their mind. The legal argument seemed solid. They screwed up when it came to evidence and everything else. Everything seemed to be going the Badgers' way. Now apparently, however, the judge has ruled against them in every particular, which seems very bizarre. Now they've taken down the post that went into detail on this, probably under legal advice, and they are planning to appeal, for which they will need money. I can hear Dean Esme screeching from here. It's a worthwhile cause, and it is important to challenge the potential precedents that may be set by this case. Otherwise, I don't know Canadian law that well, but I know that there's a legal standard in the UK of reasonable person. This is a kind of fictional, reasonable individual, and it's used as a test. Would a reasonable person agree that X, Y, Z? So even when in contracts where you give up certain rights, and even contractually you can't give up certain rights, and under English law, I don't know again what it's like in Canada, it's still subject to the reasonable person sniff test. So would a reasonable person conclude from their participation in the panel that they were being disruptive to the convention? I would say no. So it doesn't matter, really, legally speaking, if the convention says, oh, we reserve the right to throw people out for any reason. Said reason still, at least as far as I understand it under British law, would need to meet the reasonable person test. The judge's ruling, again, I'm having to go on memory because the post was taken down, just seems absurd. They somehow managed to construe the FBI report that essentially exonerated Gamergate as somehow proof that it was a harassment campaign. Maybe they just don't understand the internet very well. But I believe, personally, bearing in mind that all the information I've received is biased in their favour, but I believe they have a damn good case for appeal. So that's a worthy cause, and if you can spare a few bucks, search them out on the internet. I think it's Feed the Badger is the website for helping them out with donations and so on, and I'm sure they'll be doing donation drives and things soon. It relates to the Jeremy thing because it's to do with a convention and the poor treatment of dissenting voices at conventions. And I'm invested in that because for the longest time I've held up the gaming community, the fandom community and so on as an example of positive forms of integration and diversity and tolerance that actually works. And ironically, it has been people trying to force their vision of these things onto fandom communities that has turned them toxic and hateful. So if you've got a couple of spare bucks that you're not giving to me, hint hint, head on over to Feed the Badger and help them out, because legal costs, you know, they're expensive, and it's a big thing that stops people being held to account when they do things that are wrong. Lastly, I guess some kind of housekeeping stuff. I'm experimenting with a slightly different camera lighting rig. I don't know if you even noticed. If you did, tell me if you think it's better. This angle seems to be better for sound, and it hits all the notes that YouTubers are told to engage in to light themselves better and all the rest of it. You know, despite face for radio, worth a shot. I do need people's support to keep doing this. To making these YouTube videos worthwhile means I need to get about $200 a month on Patreon. Not really anywhere close to that yet, but I keep plugging away. The income that I get from YouTube as a result of these videos, obviously being a tiddly channel, is not very much at all, and the advertising revenue has been hit because I like to swear a lot. And recently the changes in the content ID system have been catching a lot of the shorter snippets of things that I use in my intros, outros, and so on, even though I believe it to be transformative. So a lot of classic outros and things I'm afraid you're not going to see anymore, and I'm going to have to cut things right back and probably just start using public domain music that's just not going to quite convey the same feel. My retro BBC TV parody intros and outros don't seem to have been affected yet, but we'll see. Anyway, I appreciate the support of everyone who cares to help me out, and I hope we can continue to foster discussion and the beginnings of understanding on this channel. If you know any social justice warrior-y type people on that side in the culture war as it relates to role-playing games in particular, try and get them to contact me, because I really think in the wake of violence at the preeminent global convention for role-playing games, we need to reopen lines of dialogue and have conversations and try in some small, minute way to rein things in a bit. Zang.
Today, see, I don't like the, I have, okay, like a lot of you, I hate a lot, you know? But I hate with style and creativity.